Good day, folks. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going part of our partner spotlight. We have a wonderful guest, partner of ours, joining us today, and look forward to the discussion. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. So let's start with the agenda. What we'll do is we'll start out. I'll introduce XenTegra, introduce myself. We'll have introductions to CATO networks, and then CATO has a wonderful presentation around their SASE offerings, and we'll go through that. Just real relaxed conversation today, organic conversation. So please feel free to participate. Ask any questions during the webinar and let us know what your thoughts are and what you'd like to see and next steps. So with that, I'd love to introduce myself. My name is Ray Anderson. I am a solutions architect here at XenTegra, covering all of North America. Joining me today is my wonderful friend, Christopher Rudolph from CATO. He's product marketing manager. And so who is XenTegra? So XenTegra is not just a partner covering North America. We have a presence across North America, Canada. We have offshore in India. We even have a great SLED team and a federal team. And we also have MSP practice. So any of the folks that are out there that really are curious about our MSP offerings and what's the details behind it, please at any time feel free to reach out to us and we can go through that program with you. So XenTegra, who is XenTegra and what do we bring to the relationship and what do we bring to the table? And so these are some of the items that we really pride ourselves on, right? Which is, first of all, complimentary assessments. Our customers and our communities love these. And what these are assessments where our team will come in and we'll take a look at, say, for example, a Citrix or VMware environment or a storage environment that you might have. And we'll go through an assessment with you. And from there, we'll develop ratings on where you're at with the technology, how you're using it, what are some of the opportunities available to you that you could take that environment to the next level. Educational webinars. We have quite a few educational webinars. We do workshops, hand-on workshops, vendor-focused podcast. We do these all the time. Anybody from our team, the solutions architecture team, our SMB team, all the way up to our CEO and founder of XenTegra. And by the way, last but not least, we do offer discounted conference passes. So one of them, for example, is RSA conference in San Francisco that will be going on this May. So if you reach out to the XenTegra team, you can go to xentegra.com/conference. And you'll see a list of conferences that we attend and we sponsor, and we can offer up to a 90% discounted price on those passes. So that's a really attractive opportunity for our customers. So a little bit more about XenTegra. So we really pride ourselves on not just being your typical VAR partner out there in the partner community. We take it a step further and we have those relationships, deep, well-connected relationships with our partners in the ecosystem. CATO Networks, Citrix, VMware, Nutanix, for example. And what that does is that lets us have these top-level premier platinum relationships with our partners that then now we can offer, discounts to our customer base. We can go above and beyond what you would typically see and receive from other partners out there. With that, I want to go a little bit into how that relationship is between XenTegra and our customers and our customer communities. Right? So when we come into a relationship, it's more than just, hey, here's a solution, here's a product. We actually become involved with you and we become a part of your team. And all the way from pre-sales, all the way up into post-sales, we are going to be there with our customers. We will actually be your truly trusted advisor along the way, along the journey. And we keep that, right? And what that also does is that lets us have and develop a strong bench, technical bench. So when you come to us for services or for technical direction or strategic direction, you're going to know that you have a partner in XenTegra where we have a strong bench that is going to be able to confidently advise and consult and provide direction, but be there with you as well. And so where did this come from? This is deep seated within our culture. This truly starts from our top. This all comes from our founder and CEO, Andy Whiteside, who comes from an engineering background. And many years ago, Andy took a step back and said, there are some things that are missing in the ecosystem, especially on the partner side and the relationships. And being a sales engineer and being technical as Andy is, even to this day, is very, very active in all activities of our company and with our customers. He said, let's really truly focus on and become passionate and customer obsessed with our community. Let's develop communities that we interact with and we support, and let's take care of them. So that's really where it comes from. And that truly exists, like I said, folks, from the top at Andy's level, and it comes down all the way down to our sales organization and our services organization. What I want to do here is I'm going to leave this slide up for, I would say, 20 seconds while I'm talking. So one of the things we like to do for our customers is we like to have annual giveaways. And we've been known for the last couple of years of giving away new Ford Broncos, and not just stock Broncos, but we do some aftermarket stuff to make them really that much more exciting and rewarding for our customers. This year, we have put together an all-inclusive dream vacation for you and a guest. And it's going to be in Hawaii this year. And so really, if you look right there, I have the URL, and I'm going to say it as well, workhasnoboundaries.com. Go to that URL, go to that link, register for this giveaway. And at the end of the year, when we do give it away, I'd love to hear that it's you that wins this opportunity. So with that, what I'll do is I'll stop there and remind everybody involved today on today's webinar that we would like it to be very interactive. We want you to participate, ask questions, raise your hand, and let's get some dialogue on and go from there. So with that, Chris, I want to give you the opportunity to take the mic. I don't want to show up for a while. I want to let you take over the show. So go ahead and go for it, my man.
All right. Alrighty. So thanks for the intro, Ray. Again, my name's Chris Rudolph. I'm the product marketing manager for the Americas here at CATO Networks. And what I really want to talk to you about today is how really easy it is to migrate from the systems that you may have in place today to a single vendor SASE environment. So a little bit about CATO Networks first. And here we go. So CATO was founded back in 2015 by Shlomo Kramer, who is the guy who started Checkpoint and Imperva, and he's also been one of the primary investors of Palo Alto Networks as well. So CATO, with Shlomo's leadership and track record, we've been able to get to a point where we've raised $773 million in venture capital from multiple different companies. And we've been valued recently at $3 billion. We have over 950 employees. We have 80 plus points of presence globally. And, we recently were rated by Forrester as having a product that within 6 months, you'll get 246% of your investment back. So, CATO's been around for a little while, and our product is very powerful. So with that, CATO is also recognized for its first mover advantage, and recently was extremely well positioned in multiple single vendor SASE market forecasts. So Gartner, for instance, stated that CATO has been, we've been recognized in the recent Magic Quadrant for single vendor SASE. They highlight our strength in market pioneer as a market pioneer, and we deliver on the SASE promise of simple operations and an Apple-like customer experience. And they also say things like the user interface is simple and intuitive, and addresses product functionality in a single console. Forrester says much the same. Same thing with Frost and Sullivan, GigaOm, Del Oro Group. All of them pretty much have pretty much the same thing to say. We do have here's a list of selected customers that we have. So it's not just small industries or medium business. We actually work with a lot of very large enterprises. As you can see, they span industries, employee numbers, deployment size, and global footprint, and they all rely on CATO for mission critical services in full production environments. The common theme here is partnership. CATO extends the IT organization of these companies with a rich cloud platform that requires no maintenance and with security and operational skills that are very hard to find today. With CATO, these customers can support complex business requirements and globally distributed locations, users, and applications on a tight budget. So with the company, promo out of the way, what I really want to start with is honestly where we are today, the market and the industry that we're in today, and how we got here. So real quick timeline of really quickly, we're going to go through this. We started back in 1989 with a packet filter. That was the world's first stateless firewall, and it was released as a framework by DEC. Same year, UC Davis announced their network security monitor. This was the first intrusion detection system. So this was, a huge step forward in this 1 year, as a big step forward for network security. In 1993, a company we all know, Checkpoint Firewall, released Firewall 1, the world's first stateful firewall. Okay, and that's 31 years ago. 1995, and this is a nod to remote work, Microsoft released PPTP, point-to-point tunneling protocol, which was the first VPN protocol. Okay, and that's, we're starting to see people are still using this sort of technology today. Then in 2001, the first IPS was released, but it wasn't really adopted all that fast because it had a lot of false positives. It didn't really work all that well. In 2005, a company called Third Brigade out of Canada released the first server workload protections platform that was specifically built for server platforms. Fast forward again to 2006, we end up with AWS. Now we're starting to look at the cloud full time. 2008, the first next-gen firewall built with integrated technologies by Palo Alto. A couple of years later after that, Microsoft launched its first the public cloud offering. Back then it was called Windows Azure. And then a bunch of years forward from there, 2019, NIST published its paper 800-207, which was the first iteration of the zero trust architecture, leading us to the same year, SASE was released by Gartner based off of developments made by CATO Networks, and that started again back in 2015. And here we are today. And the fun part is we start looking at all these things, and what we ended up with was a bunch of point solutions. We're looking at things that we were trying to patch a particular hole that was created over time, and we just kept building on it, building on it, building on it. And so we ended up with this whole idea of, okay, we have firewalls, IPS, IDS, VPN concentrators, public and private cloud, workload protections, antivirus, mobile devices. Everybody remembers the old Blackberries, and now we have iPhones. We have all these devices everywhere, remote workers, and then we moved into SaaS and shadow IT, and these all became a problem. And in the world that we created, everybody thought when they were getting into IT that they were going to be working in places that looked like this. These super space age IT centers and data centers. And the fun part is we thought this is what they look like because this is what they look like on TV and movies. or it's what they showed in the promo guides for school when we all went there. And the funny thing is, all these places we ended up working, they kind of look like this. You have disparate products filling really random holes in network and platforms and all these things. And it can be a nightmare to manage. And it can be extremely challenging to stay on top of patching all of these things, making sure they're still functioning properly, and change windows. And it just becomes a nightmare. So in a broad sense, how did these things get so complex? Well, digital transformation and especially cloud migration and mobility are forcing IT to deploy many, 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 many point solutions. It started with Edge SD-WAN to address the high cost, rigidity, and capacity constraints of MPLS. Then we added cloud acceleration on top of it and security to support those cloud access initiatives. And then we have branch security and global backbones for your networks and all your distributed locations. Then we have mobile VPN to secure mobile access and particular business applications. New requirements, new products, complicated. Gartner actually foresaw this back in 2019, and they came up with this really wonderful quote. Digital transformation and adoption of mobile, cloud, edge, and deployment models fundamentally change network traffic patterns, rendering the existing network and security models obsolete. So if what we have today in most cases is looking to be more obsolete, how do we move forward? This is where we start to move into convergence, how things are simpler by combining platforms. And we're going to talk about evolving from the point solution world to SASE. And it can be as simple as a 6-step program. And let me show you how that works. So the very first step with anything is we need to look at the use cases and we need to scope the project. What is SASE capable of doing? What is CATO capable of doing? So we hear from, our IT industry leaders all the time. And this is just 6 of the common use cases we hear. Network costs. MPLS is expensive. They don't provide the network they need. High complexity. My network is just a mess. They don't know where to start. Too many boxes and blinking lights. Remote users keep complaining about VoIP quality, laggy applications, working from home, cloud migration. It's, they want to start moving to the cloud, but they really don't know how to protect it. And then above all, the last one's really the most important. They have no idea what's going on. And there's so much happening in the shadows. And it's in addition to shadow IT, it's just visibility of the entire network. So what can CATO do? Well, in the old days, like I said, with all the point products, you have monolithic applications that lived in data centers, and you'd have the security products right there with them to protect them. That'd be your next-gen firewalls, your IPS, DLP, all of these things be sitting right there. Well, today we've moved into a SaaS market where everything is a little bit different. So we start with, and in here I list them as customers, but it could really be different user groups and different types of things. And you could base these users and customers based off of what they're accessing, what device they're accessing from, where in the world they're accessing from, and what they're trying to get to. We can put all of these things together and create a very context-rich platform that then goes to a single point of presence or multiple points of presence around the globe like CATO has. We then apply security, whether it be firewall security, secure web gateway, IPS, endpoint protection, it's all built in. And then if you are a remote user outside of an office, we can also do remote access using ZTNA that utilizes your single sign-on platform with your MFA, and we can actually do risk-based access to applications. Then on top of that, we do the traditional SD-WAN work. Now, the fun thing is you'll see here we have the traffic shaping and all that stuff that you would normally see. But the unique piece here is that CATO does this end to end, not from appliance to appliance, but from user to application. Because we have this thing we call the global private backbone. CATO has its own mesh network of a backbone that goes between points of presence globally that we are able to do smart egress to SaaS applications and cloud platforms. in addition to your other locations. So if a user needs to get to an application, we know exactly where in the world that application lives, and we can steer that person to it in the fastest way possible. And then on top of this, it's all managed from a single console. I know the old days we used to say things like single pane of glass. This really truly is a single pane of glass. So we've scoped the project. Now we need to look at how we are going to do your sites and your remote users and all these things. So first thing people think of when they think of SD-WAN and they're scoping out their sites is they think of all the locations they have around the world. Okay. And the way we used to do it with previous generation SD-WAN is you have to set up hub sites. And then all of your locations would have to speak to these particular hub sites. And then those hub sites would be networked together. Well, that's expensive, it's complicated, and the performance isn't all of that great. So when we move to SASE, it's a little bit different, and it's actually a lot easier. We start with the points of presence, okay? This is at the core. We built a global private backbone of points of presence, delivering our networking and security capabilities. The POPs are interconnected with redundant tier 1 providers that provide consistent and predictable long-haul latency, jitter, and packet loss. Okay. Then the POPs run a converged software stack, the single pass cloud engine software, or SPACE for short, that performs all networking and security processing in the cloud. The SPACE is built from 2 parts. The first is high throughput packet processing engines, and the second is a threat prevention and data protection engine. The SPACE is natively built to process multi-gig traffic flows from all enterprise edges, including clouds, data centers, branches, users, and devices. It supports all ports and protocols across WAN, internet, and cloud traffic. It also accelerates data transfer and optimizes routing for minimal latency. Multiple security policies are uniformly enforced through SPACE. Firewall as a service provides end-to-end segmentation of traffic. Secure Web Gateway protects users against phishing and malicious websites, and so on and so forth. We then also do the CATO socket edge SD-WAN platform with our sockets, which I'll show you in a moment here. We also work with remote users, whether they're sitting in an office or remotely. And if you have users that move around, we support. This is not a problem for us either. We have multi-cloud integration. We have virtual sockets that can sit in AWS and Azure. We also do IPsec tunnels to all of the other sites that you have that may or may not support virtual sockets. And then we also have SaaS optimization with smart egress and dedicated IPs, along with our industry first SASE-based XDR, which includes tons of capabilities for gathering and computing your threats in your environment, if there are any. Wrapping all this up with single management and an API that gives you granular, role-based access, self-service, and co-managed environments. Excuse me. So I mentioned earlier that we have 80 plus points of presence. Here's a quick look at our POP map. Depending on where you are in the world, we have points of presence that are probably close to you or your customers, and allows you to connect to these sites that act then as your backbone. So if you look here, we have sites in North America, Europe, Asia, Latin America, Middle East, Africa. More importantly, we also have 3 sites in mainland China, and we actually are able to get data out of China, unlike a lot of our competitors where they can only put information in. So after we've figured out where the sites and users are going to be, we traditionally now have to start looking at the networking, the underlying plumbing for everything. So unlike traditional SD-WAN solutions that use unpredictable public internet or expensive MPLS, CATO uniquely accelerates the WAN and cloud connectivity with a combination of last mile and middle mile optimization. CATO socket SD-WAN devices connect to the nearest POP, typically within 25 milliseconds, and we connect multiple links, MPLS, multiple ISPs, so on, and run them in active mode to maximize capacity and availability. Traffic is then sent to the destination over our global private backbone. And on the last mile between the socket and the nearest POP, we classify and dynamically route traffic based on application type, real-time link quality, packet loss, latency utilization. Right. Our identity-aware routing. There we go. Our identity-aware routing policy also enables prioritization based on the user's role and the group the user belongs to. So sales VoIP traffic can be prioritized above generic voice traffic, or use a different transport. Since we operate at the packet level, we can mitigate packet loss by sending duplicate packets over multiple links. CATO independently optimizes the middle mile. First, we choose the best global network provider for every packet, routing on a carrier to end-to-end basis. And we can also act as a TCP proxy to maximize the transmission rate of the clients. Okay. So when we start looking at the SD-WAN appliances, CATO offers capacity and reliability, which is, we support multiple ISPs in active mode, like I said. The socket monitors the ISPs for degradation or blackout, and it seamlessly moves sessions between last mile links to maximize uptime and work around last mile issues. On the performance side, it can prioritize real-time or business critical application traffic over other traffic. For instance, this is, like I said, QoS. It can route traffic to the CATO SASE cloud over your existing MPLS or site to site over the internet, according to whatever policy you set. Lastly, using socket to POP optimization, which is the last mile, in conjunction with the CATO POP to POP optimization, which is the middle mile, it allows bandwidth maximization of up to 20x over MPLS or internet. And again, with management, the socket is a zero-touch device that deploys in minutes. It connects to the CATO SASE cloud, being assigned a name and IP range for the location it serves, and that's it. All management is done through the CATO SASE Cloud console, where real-time analytics are viewed, and I'll show you some of those analytics in a few slides. Here are our 3 different models of socket. Yes, it shows 4, but the two in the middle are the same model. The 1500 is our entry level model. It's for up to 500 megs of traffic. It's really intended for small, medium branches. The 1600 has 2 different variants. The 1600 base, which is for standard, network. It doesn't have LTE built into it, and it's for more port density, and it supports up to 1 gig per second. Like I said, it also includes the LTE variant, which can support up to dual radios. And then we have our 1700, which supports up to 10 gig. This is our data center box. This is meant for large environments, up to, that, like I said, up to 10 gigs of traffic. And if you have a lot of port density required. So after we figured out what sockets where, what users, and we have a plan moving forward, now we got to start employing security. So when we look at CATO's security as a service, our stack protects all traffic, WAN, internet, and cloud against threats and attacks. We apply real-time protection through multiple engines, like I stated before. We have a next-gen firewall and a secure hub gateway to control access to internal resources and external sites. We have CASB and DLP to provide visibility and control of cloud applications. Our next-gen anti-malware engine and IPS detect threats such as malware download and outbound malware communication. And we have remote browser isolation that opens web pages remotely and streams safe content to the browser so users can browse unknown sites safely. CATO maintains these engines for an up-to-date production, so there's no upgrades or patches that you need to employ. CATO takes care of those things for you behind the scenes. Our cloud-native architecture is scalable and elastic. Unlike edge appliances that are constrained by the volume, CATO leverages cloud scale infrastructure to deliver enterprise-grade security across all of the traffic. Now, because all WAN and internet traffic flows through CATO, we can decrypt once and then apply the full security stack against the traffic at line speed. If a customer chooses not to decrypt traffic, the next-gen firewall and secure web gateway still secure the traffic. Lastly, CATO is globally distributed and centrally managed. CATO presents a single logical security engine that exists everywhere, so customers can set policies on logical business elements without worrying about pushing these policies to the right box. CATO's security is driven by real-time intelligence. CATO uniquely sees live traffic across hundreds of networks, including 1 trillion flows a day. Flow attributes are stored in our cloud scale big data and provide rich context for our automated machine learning algorithms to analyze network activity. So if you look in real deep, the IPS, all traffic, both inbound and outbound, is processed by a CATO IPS. The IPS includes rules designated to protect against known and unknown threats and vulnerabilities, and real-time feeds that track malicious sites and servers. Our malware protection leverages the CATO full traffic visibility again to extract files from the stream. Each file goes through an analysis process to determine the true file type and combat, the evasion tactics that the threat actors are using. So if you look at the difference between a DIY, like a self-managed IPS versus IPS as a service, when you have a signature that's released by your IPS provider, they release the new signature, you then have to go download it. You have to choose the relevant signatures that are applicable to your environment. You have to install them, and you have to put them in detect mode because you want to make sure you don't break anything. You want to monitor for performance, monitor for false positives. Then you can move into prevention mode, and then you move back into the maintenance cycle. Seems pretty cumbersome. It takes a lot of time, and then you have to do all this during change windows. So you have to schedule these things sometimes weeks in advance, where the signature was available maybe 24 or 48 hours after the problem arose. If you look at CATO's IPS, we create the new signature for you. We validate the accuracy for you based off of all the known traffic that we're looking at, and we do it in silent mode. We start looking at the individual flows. We can do all this, and then we put into prevent mode, and it's just done. You don't have to really do anything. CATO takes care of those things behind the scenes, and we let you know, hey, these are the new signatures that are available, and they're put into your system automatically. Fast and easy. To understand more about the IPS, you have to look at how it works. CATO's IPS can access a very rich context of every flow as seen here on the screen. Beyond the obvious flow attributes like source and destination IP, it accesses the HTTP header, the flow encryption algorithm, the type of client application, and the attributes of the target URL. For example, the URL category, age, and if it's machine or human generated. All of this context is rarely available to appliance-based IPS. The context is used by CATO's IPS and our rules to stop both known threats such as traffic from blacklisted IP or geo and unknown threats by identifying anomalous or highly suspicious flows. So here, this is just a quick, a sample rule. You could set it up based off of, popularity model, the true file detection, URL categories, fingerprinting. You could do all this based on our IPS, and it works really well. So beyond prevention, there is detection. IPS is a threat prevention engine that will stop malicious inbound and outbound communication, but endpoints can still be infected by malware, which requires a different set of resources to detect, investigate, and remediate. CATO offers a daily analysis service of your network to find compromised endpoints and assist in remediation. To the right is the file type of notification. To the right is the type of notification CATO generates to let you know what type of file we found and what we were able to find in it. So this dovetails nicely into the next step, which is visibility. And this is key. We have all these really cool tools, but knowing what you're looking at is absolutely key. So here, let's start with the overhead view, the 10,000 foot view. Here you could see a sample of our UI with the topology. You could see all of your sites, all of your users, and what point of presence they're connecting through. From here, you can actually jump in and see events and get to other dashboards. Let's start with the network analytics. We start with networking first. We'll do that again here. You could see your current links, its behavior status, what it's doing, what its uptime, downtime, jitter, all the things you would expect to see. And we can monitor all this for you and alert you and say, hey, you have a link down or you have a link in a degraded state. We can point you to the place where you can find all this information. We can also alert off of these things set on thresholds that you place. And here's some more of the real-time network analytics. It's another powerful tool that enables visibility in the site's active links. Your admin can see aggregated statistics or click any link for detailed information. Everything in our UI, for the most part, is clickable, meaning you can drill down into it from wherever you are. For instance, by clicking on WAN 1 on the previous site, the previous screen, a real-time usage is presented with details of the users and applications that are on that particular link. So again, it's actionable data. It's real data. All right. And then we get into the application side. Now we're just looking beyond the network and we're looking into what applications are actually moving. We have integrated identity awareness into our reporting and logs, meaning we know not only what applications are running, but who is running them. And the admin can monitor specific users' activities for advanced troubleshooting and monitoring. So if you have issues with Microsoft or Zoom or whatever, you can start to break down, okay, is it on a particular link? Are they in a particular office? Are they remote? And you can start to drill down and say, okay, Zoom's not working well because you're sitting in a Starbucks on public Wi-Fi. You can start to see things like that. You can start to break down where the issues are for particular applications and all of those things. All right. And the final step with this, and this is a common question that I hear from almost every customer I've talked to, do I need to do it all? I see what CATO has, I see what SASE is. Do I need to do it all at once? No, you don't. You can do things on your speed, okay? You can do it by whatever capability you want, whatever use case you determine. You can do it by location or even by your business initiative, whatever is mission critical to you. This is your journey through SASE, not CATO's or any other SASE vendor. We're here just to facilitate the journey with the tools. Okay. Again, here's the architecture again. You can pick which piece and part of the puzzle you want to do first. You want to start with SD-WAN? That's perfectly fine. If you want to go then to remote users, we support that as well. If you want to add security as you go, that's perfectly fine as well. It's extremely flexible. Now, granted, there are some minimum packages, but you'll find that it's very, very easy to start with CATO and then keep building and building and building and grow with your organization. Ray, are there any questions?
Sorry about that, Chris. I was being challenged with unmuting myself. We don't have any questions right now, but I do have a question. I'm interested in knowing what it looks like from an IT perspective. I like what CATO has. I want to move forward with CATO, but I have an existing solution in place.
Yes.
That maybe is under delivering. What does that process look like? What's involved there? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So CATO is not in the rip and replace game. What we are actually in is we actually like to look at this as, okay, if we are going to start looking at other solutions that you want to phase over to another vendor, we actually will work very well in parallel with most providers. You can start deploying CATO as an SD-WAN solution or start us up with IPsec tunnels off of existing firewalls. We can work around and we're very flexible. So you can kind of work however you'd like. And then what you do is just slowly transfer the traffic from one solution to CATO solution. So it can be done at your pace. And The other thing is, as your technology ages out, we can slowly move over that way as well, and whatever works best for the customer.
That's good to know. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that for any implementation,
Oh yeah.
right? That is an important top of mind item to investigate first. What would you say, Chris, is your CATO's, I don't know, I'll just throw out their top two superpowers over some of your competitors? What is it that
Oh, that's a good
differentiates you?
question. So honestly, the number one superpower that I actually come across since I've been working at CATO, um, is our ease of deployment. It's literally zero touch. I mean, the days of excuse me, the days of deploying boxes where you have to configure them one by one and plug in all the cables and just hope you got it all right, those days are over. Our boxes, you plug it in, turn it on, and it just works. Our deployment is very, very, very simple, and it is zero touch for the most part. The other superpower is is really our security backend. The fact that you don't need to maintain an IPS, an IDS, firewalls, uh, your VPN platforms. You don't need to maintain these things, device by device by device, and you're constantly doing updates. It could be weekly. It's all now done for you as a service. So now you're spending less time maintaining things and more time looking at forward projects or working on the next big thing for your company. So it makes life a lot easier for the admin. So flexibility and, honestly, giving time back are the two big, superpowers.
Yeah, I really like how, Cato really comes to the table and helps an organization to become more agile, right? So
Yeah.
you'd alluded to that, right? I always like to say, let's focus on aligning you, IT, to business initiatives, to strategy. And let's take a lot of that, like in the beginning, you pointed out a lot of that complexity, right? Which is very overwhelming and very scary, right?
Mhm.
But with that, there's also a lot of, with the management and oversight of that complexity, behind, under the radar, I'll call it, you have great opportunities for threats to get by, or get
Mhm.
missed, unknowns, to get by you. And so I really like how Cato Networks has that solution that is all encompassing, right? And you're not
Yeah.
going to, have those misses, those threats flying under the radar. Very, very impressive, Chris. I
Yeah.
really, really like what Cato Networks has put together and what it's offering. So with that, that was a great presentation, by the way, Chris. I really appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thank you for joining us today. We're a little under the hour on time. So once again, what I'll do is I'll actually share my screen, and I want to bring up our giveaway for this year. And I really, really, can you see my screen there, Chris? Yeah, you're on mute.
I
There we
can.
go.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I want to bring this up. I want to leave folks with this giveaway that we have. Like I said, this is the first year we've really expanded on that annual, giveaways that we give our customers. And I encourage folks to go to this site, workhasnoboundaries.com, get in there, register for the events. Also take a peek at our conferences site. We have events. So if you go to XenTegra.com/events, that's going to give you a whole list of, the events that we put on, both the on-site or person-to-person, face-to-face type events that we know of from the past, as well as the the virtual events, such as the one that you're attending today, the partner, we call it the partner spotlight. Great opportunity to bring folks in, let them see and hear about, what's new, what folks are doing now, cutting edge technology. Really, that's the whole purpose behind our partner spotlight, is to really showcase what folks are doing as industry leaders, like we saw today with CATO Networks. But also, from time to time, you'll come in and you'll see a partner spotlight that, we'll give our partners that opportunity to showcase and talk a little bit about what's new, what's exciting, that they have to offer to our communities, to our customer base. So with that, I'd like to open it up. I know there's a few of you in there. I'd love to open it up to any questions that you might have for myself or Chris to ask. And as you input your questions, what I want to do too is really say, what are next steps? What would be next steps for those of you that are interested in CATO Networks? Very easy, very straightforward. Reach out to your XenTegra team, reach out to XenTegra, reach out to myself if need be. My email, ray.anderson@xentegra.com. And let's get talking, right? Let's investigate this a little bit more for you. Maybe, we can brainstorm, put a solution stack together for you that makes sense for your business and what your business is looking to do. Maybe, it's a services engagement where, like I mentioned before, we have that deep bench. These are our folks that are subject matter experts on the technology. And then we can scope out, a project. We can talk about what that looks like with you, go over that with you, get approval, mutual approval and agreement on that scope. And then we have our engineers come in and help with the deployment, right? And even maybe the oversight management of the environment, if that is an option for you that you'd like to entertain. Like I said, reach out to your XenTegra team, reach out to me, reach out to CATO Networks. Your CATO Networks team, maybe you're new to XenTegra and really want to work with us, excited about working with us, but you don't know where to start, and you have an existing relationship with CATO Networks. Work with your CATO Networks sales teams and get them to introduce XenTegra, the XenTegra team, to you and your company, and let's go out there and let's get it. So with that, if there's no questions, I don't see any questions coming in. We can end the webinar early today. I want to once again thank everybody for joining us. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Chris, before I end, I'll hand it back over to you in case you thought of something additionally you'd like to say or discuss.
Nope, I just appreciate the time and appreciate being included.
Right on. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. With that, we got 10 minutes. Wow, 10 minutes. So with that, I'll let folks gain a little bit more time in their day. Like I said, reach out to any of us and let's talk CATO. With that, I'll end the webinar, and I appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you.